In this video, I want to show you guys how you can build your Telegram mini app UI from the scratch, and it's not hard at all. So I want to show you the secret behind building this type of a mini app that you can actually make sure that it looks very nice on the mobile devices. And this is basically the one that we have right now. And I have even simulated being able to, like, if you are tapping on the coin right here, you see that it's a kind of a generate some coins for you. So if you take a look up here, total token case incremented, and down here this one is also incrementing based on the session that is actually on. All right, so I want to show you how you can actually build this from the scratch. It's not something that is hard to do, and let's get started without wasting much time, guys. So we are going to basically utilize this particular page for the gaming interface that you just saw on the screen, and it's really going to be a very simple thing. So what I want to do first of all is I do want to copy everything that is on this particular page and modify it a few things. Even the CSS, I want to cut the CSS out of this particular page. Okay, so I'm going to just basically cut that off and then put that in a different place. So what I want to do is to highlight this page. I want to copy all the content in here, and then I want to go to game, and right here we do have game.php, and I want to highlight in here and paste what I just copied into the clipboard and save the changes, guys. So, and the one thing that I won't actually like to forget is to cut this CSS off from this particular page, and also remember to make sure that we add the title of this particular page in here. So let me just go ahead and then copy the CSS. I want to cut this particular CSS away from this page, and let's cut that. And I would like to like have that into, let me go ahead and then have that into it's going to be on a CSS folder. So I want to create a new folder in here. Let's call that CSS. Open that up, and then within the CSS folder I would like to create a file that we're basically going to call styles.css. and open that up. I want to paste everything that we got in that particular CSS. However, we may not even need quite a lot of things right here, like this user details right here. I think I'm going to just, let me just cut that away. I delete that from this particular page. Okay, so we'll add some CSS as we move along to this anyway. So, but for now, this is just basically what we'll have within the CSS. Okay, and we need to, if we go back in here on this particular page, we need to do quite a few things in here. Of course, this one is out of, we're going to take this away this particular moment. So let's cut this off, and what we basically have now is this, guys. So we'll have this on this particular page, and then I would also like to create something like an include file to have the head region of our application in one page. So for that reason, I'm going to just cut off this from this page. And then for the, so I want to create a new folder right now. Let's go ahead and then call this something like, this is going to be called includes, and I open that up. And then within that inclusive folder, we'll create like two files within this particular inclusive folder right now. So the first one I want to create is going to be the header. So this is going to be header.php right there. And I want to copy and paste the header section of that application. I think I already got that copied to the clipboard, and this is what it is right now. I want to change the title right here. So right here, let's just do this is going to be Telegram mini app. So we got that right there, Telegram mini app. Or I think we should even use this opportunity to like make sure that we change this to be dynamically inclusive. I think that's just basically what we should do. I think what I need to do is to just turn this. I'm going to just do PHP echo, and this is going to be, we're going to just call this something like page title. And let's set that to just basically, we're going to just terminate that and let it be just that way. Okay, so in the rest of the pages, we could actually create these variables within those pages, right? So if we go to the index right now, what I want to do within the index is very, very simple. So within this index page, I want to bring in that file that we just created, which is actually called a header.php. And to do that, we can go ahead and then throw in our PHP tag in here, and we can just say include. Maybe we can use something like include once, and we need to get into the folder, which is actually called the includes. First of all, let's put that in brackets. So this is going to be includes / and then the file we want to get, which is actually header. So we'll do header.php like that, and we can go ahead and terminate this line and then save the changes. However, if we go to our browser right now, and let's try to sort through that file, and what we basically want to see is going to be this is going to be Kino login. And you see that we do have some errors on this particular page anyway, but that should actually be coming from down here. I think it should just be basically coming from these things that we have in here, these user details that we have in here. I want to get rid of all of them, and what I want to put on this page is really going to be very simple. Within this particular place, we'll have H1. Let me just first of all wrap that with a div. So this is going to be a div class, and let's set that to be equal to something like container, and then we can go ahead and then find our way to closing this within this particular place. So down here we can go ahead and just do div to close that off, right? So that is just that on that particular line, and we can change the message in here. So instead of having user details right here, we can do something like welcome to maybe the name of the Telegram mini game that we just basically built. So we could just call this something like, I'm going to put that in brackets, not really bracket, but that's just basically going to be you. That's an underline. So I'm going to just do something like Telegram. That's just how that should actually look right now. However, the next thing that we basically want to do on this index, not really in the index, but this particular header, is to link to our CSS, because the way that it is right now, if we refresh this page right now, you notice that we do not actually have our CSS coming in. And if we want to work on that, it's really going to be very simple. How do we do that? So we can go to down here and try to link to our CSS. So we're going to just do link rel and set that to style like that. And we can go ahead and then use our href, and that is actually located in the CSS folder. And then after that, we'll find it in a file that is actually called styles.css. So with that line, you should be able to have access to our CSS. If we refresh, we should see some certain things coming. And I see that it's just beginning to come together, guys. So we have that right now. However, if we go back to this index right here and then you take a look up here, you see that the title of the page is actually not coming in. And if we want to get rid of that, remember we're working on the what is it called, the index page. So we can, within this place right now, I want to make this look a little bit readable. We can go ahead and generate the title of our web page in this particular page right here. So if we do something like not really up there, so I think we should just do that down here. This is going to be, let's create that variable called a page title and then set that to whatever we want to basically call that, and we can just call this Telegram mini app, and let's terminate that particular line. And with that, I think we should be able to like see the title of the web page on this place if we refresh. And I think we should move that above this particular line that we're having here. So I want to cut this and then put that right here. Sorry about that. I think I did not actually copy everything. So I want to highlight page title right here, right? Cut that. And I want to put that, make that just the first line in there. And with that means for refresh, should be able to see the title of our web page within that particular place. So that is that. So the next thing we want to build on the index page is going to be within this particular thing that we have in here, which is the container. And to do that is really very simple. I just want to have a paragraph here first of all. So this is going to be P. All right, guys. So I've just added this particular paragraph right here, which says play the game to earn cryptocurrency tokens. Click the get started button below to get started. And I think I also need to add something like game right here. So this is going to be game, and then we can just put an exclamation sign at the end right there, and then we can save the changes. For refresh, that should actually come into this page. So this is just basically how that looks like right now, and we can actually go ahead and then add some styling to it at a later time. But however, what I want to do down here first of all is to add something like a navigation menu. So to do that, I'm going to just do nav, and let's try to close out the nav down here. And then within the nav right here, we're going to just create our UL. So this is going to be UL, and let's also close the UL down here. So let's create our list items, which we can actually do that with LI right here. And we're also going to need something like an anchor tag, which we are basically also going to use a tag to do that. So this is going to be href, and maybe the first one is actually going to go to, I'm going to send that to nowhere. So this is going to be, we can go ahead and then enter something like home right here. And this is going to be closed. And also we need to close the LI like this. And that's just basically what that line is. And I want to copy this and then paste that a couple more times. And I want to change this one from what it is right now to something like about us. And down here, I want to change this one to how to play. And the next one is actually going to be something like, let's say we're going to have something like leaderboard. So I'm just putting those things in there. It doesn't mean that we're actually going to have all of those created, but I just make sure that we kind of have something, okay, in that particular place. And the reason that I'm actually doing this index is just because if people ever visited the web page, I want to like present the game to them on this particular page, okay. So that's just basically what I'm basically doing with that. And that is just that on this particular interface right now. What I want to do is if I go to the index right here, I mean the style.css right here, I want to add a couple of styles to this. But before I begin to add that, if we refresh here, you see that we do have all of these things in here. Okay, but we're going to just tie them to make them look a little bit beautiful. So let's add a couple things to at least the body section of the web application right here. And I'm going to just first of all display the content on that place, and it's going to just basically be flex. And after that, we're going to like justify the content. So we're going to just do justify content to the center of the web page. And after that, we're going to align the items. So let's do align items also to the center of the web page. And the next thing is actually send something like a mean height for this. So this is going to be mean height, and the mean height is actually going to be, let's say this is going to be 100 VH for viewport height, and you can center the text. So this is going to be text align. I'm going to send that to the center of the web page, and that is just that on that. So the next thing in there is, if we check in here, we have container right here. I want to style that. So let's put container right here. And to work on that particular container right now, I'm going to give that a couple of styles right here. At first, I'm going to send width, and the width is actually going to, let's actually call this max width. Okay, so this is going to be max width, and we're going to actually set that to 900 pixels right there. And after that, we're also going to set the margin. So this is going to be margin, and the margin is actually going to be set to, this is going to be 50 pixels by, let's set the next value to something like auto. Okay, so automatically I'll have to do that. So the padding right now is actually going to be set to 20 pixels. I'm going to just set that to 20 pixels, and after that, we're also going to work on the background. So this is going to be background, and the background that we're basically going to use in here can be white. So I'm going to just do FFF right there for white color, and we can go ahead and then have maybe the border radius. So we'll do border dash radius, and we're basically going to set that to 10 pixels. So this is going to be 10 pixels, and we're going to have a box shadow. So this is going to be box shadow, and we're going to just set that to 0 for the first value, and then we're going to set 4 pixels and 20 pixels, and we're going to set an RGBA right there. So this is going to be RGBA, and then the values we're going to need, I'm going to need 0 first of all. In fact, I'm going to basically set everything to 0 right there, except that I'm going to just basically set the opacity to 0.1, and that is just that on that particular line. We're not terminate that, and if we, first of all, let's save the changes and then see whether if that style is actually coming in. And I think that they are basically coming in. The next thing I want us to do right now is to work on the navigation menu, which we can actually do down here. All right, so basically I'm going to need a fixed navigation down here. Okay, down here I'm going to need a fixed navigation, and I've actually copied the design of that navigation. I want to paste that right here, and then let's go through it so that I kind of started from here, right? So this is the nav. This is the nav div that we already have in that page while setting the position to fixed. So this is basically going to cause the navigation to be fixed. It's not going to be moving. And the position that we want that to actually be is we want it to have like 0 space from the bottom. That means we want it to be very close to the footer of the web page. It's going to attach set to the footer of the web page, and we'll have the, we do not also have to have any spaces from the left, and we don't want to have any spaces from the right. Okay, so the background color is actually going to be set to this, and then this is the shadow, and we're setting the z index to 100. That means that we want to ensure that it stays on top of any other element around it or beneath it. So we center the text right there, and then we set a pattern to this. So down here, this is just the regular style for our navigation. So we want to set the list style to none, and then we'll set a pattern to 0, and the rest of the things that we have in there. So the LI, want to set that to be inline. So we want them to stay next to each other. That's what that is actually going to do. And right here, we are just basically styling the links. Right here, we're setting the text decoration to none. That means we don't want to have any underlines within the links. Okay. Then the color, we have it right here. Then the font width, set that to bold. And right here, this is just the hover effect. Okay, so if you hover on it, you want to have something like a text on decoration, which is actually going to be an underline. And I want to save the changes. And if we take a look at that from our browser right here, and if you take a look down here, you see this is what that is actually going to give to us right now, right? So we basically have this particular navigation menu within the index of our web page, and where you can actually change all of these things to whatever you want that to actually be. All right, great. So the next thing I want to add right now is going to be to add some styling to this particular. So if we go to the development environment, and I want to make sure that I add that down here. So this is just the style for the button right here. So we're going to just have this particular background and then white color, and the rest of the things that we basically kind of also have in here, right? So we want to set the cursor to something like a pointer, and this is the hover effect. When you hover on it, this is what it's just basically going to give us. Okay, all right. So this, I remember that this is actually a button, so that means that we need to go back to the index page and then make sure that we give a class right here, and that class is actually going to be btn, right? So set that to btn. All right, so let's save the changes, and if we go back in here, we should be able to have our button look just the way we want it to be. Okay, so this is just how it is right now. All right, so everything is actually coming together, but the only thing I'm actually not seeing yet is the container. So I don't think I'm seeing the style for the container actually coming in, and that's because we did not actually add something like a dot in here, because it's actually a class in that place. And I want to use this opportunity to also add some styles to the what is it called, the H1 right here. Which what I'm going to do right now is let's add a font family maybe right here. So this is going to be font family, and I want to set that to, this is going to be popping, and then the second value I want to set is actually going to be sans serif. So in case this one doesn't actually work, this one can actually work. Okay, so I have that right now, and we can also go ahead and then maybe the margin bottom, we could just set a margin bottom for this. We just basically maybe gonna be, I'm gonna just copy and paste here and just maybe make that something like 20 pixels. And down here, let's start the p tag. So to start the p tag, we just want to set the font size. It's gonna be font size, and we'll set that to something like 18 pixels. And after that, we can set a margin bottom, and this is gonna be bottom right there, and we can set that to something like 30 pixels. And let's save the changes, and let's refresh this page. We should have a white background for here, and that is it. So I think it looks just nice, right? Or should we even I think let's take away this margin top first of all. I want to see how that is actually gonna look. So if we're refreshing here, that doesn't actually do much. All right, so let's just leave that the way that it is right now. All right, guys, so one more thing I want to do is if someone actually clicks on this particular button right here, I want it to attempt to open up the mini game within Telegram, okay, on this page. So to do that, we want to go to our index page right here, and we do have this particular button right here. And what I want to do is to just add something like an on-click event. So I'm going to just do on-click, and I want to go ahead and set that to this following method. So this is going to be open Telegram, and let's make sure we type this correctly. This is going to be web app. So this is, we have on-click event right here, and we're saying open Telegram web app. All right, so and then we want to throw in our parentheses within this particular place right here. Okay, so we do have that right here, but we're going to just basically need a tiny bit of a JavaScript to be able to make that function effectively. So to do that, I'm going to just put script tags right down here. So this is going to be script, and let's close out the script tag. Down here, this is going to be script, and then within this place right here, within this script tag, I want to create a function right here. So this is going to be function, and that just, the function we want to create is basically this particular function that we just created, that we just added right here. Okay, and I'm sorry that I kind of called out a method before now. So that's just the function we want to create down here. So I'm going to copy and paste that particular function in here. So it's going to be like this, and then we can throw in our parentheses. Now within this particular place, what we want to do is really very simple. We just want to redirect, okay? Redirect to via boat, okay? So we want to do that via the boat, and to do that, we can just do window right here. So this is going to be window dots. This is going to be dots location, and we can just do dot href right here. Okay, this is going to be href, and we set that to the following URL. Okay, so the URL that we're going to basically send this to is going to be the full URL to that of our bot. Okay, and what that means is that we can just do HTTPS right here, and we can do // and we're going to do t.me / and then you can go ahead and include your username right here. Okay, you can just do username right here. Okay, so that's just basically what I mean. So our own username is actually called a kino_telelogin_bot, right? Which I'm quite sure that you guys already know that. So if we do kino right here _telelogin_bot, all right, which is actually bot, and we can throw in a question mark in here and just say something like start. Okay, so if we do that, we can go ahead and set that to be equal to web app. So let's do web app like that, and that line should be able to do the stop for us. So that is just that, guys, and I hope you understand that. So from here to this particular place is your bot name. Okay, this is what we use when we create our bot. So it's actually called a kino_telelogin_bot. Okay, so if you visit this link the way that it is right here, if you copy this right here and then visit it on a different link, if you just tap on this and you have something like a Telegram installed on your phone or any device, it's going to just basically attempt to open this up with your Telegram. All right, so but in our own case right here, let's say people got into our the web interface of our application, and they want to just hit on somewhere like something like a button that says something like a play game, we want to go ahead and then attempt to open their Telegram web app so that they can get into the bot and then begin to play our game, because that's how we can kind of capture their registration details. All right, so let's test this right now. So if we refresh this page and I hit on where it says play game, and you notice that it attempts to open up that particular bot. Okay, so take a look at it right here at Kino underscore telelogin bot. This is just basically our Telegram mini game. Okay, and you remember when we added this particular message right here. And for those of you who are actually watching this from YouTube, chances are that you did not actually know when we added these things. But if you get into the premium version, you are going to see how we kind of worked on all of these things that you're actually seeing right here. So assuming that this was actually on a device that has a Telegram installed, you are going to notice that it's going to open the boot up, and you can actually interact with that, and it's going to pick your registration data, which is actually coming from that of the Telegram, and then you can begin to play the game. All right, so but I'm going to basically stop right here. You can download the Telegram and then install that and then set it up, okay, so that this can actually work. So if you hit on something like send game, you can begin to do whatever you can actually do with your Telegram app, okay, on your phone or whatever device that you got. All right, so I want to go back in here. And what I want to do, I think we are just basically done with this particular page at this particular point in time. The next page we want to work on is actually going to be that of the, what is it right here? I think it's going to be our game right here, right? So on the game.php page right here, we are basically not going to need to redirect anymore on this page. So once we get into this particular page, up here we do have the code that is actually going to log a user in or register a user depending on their status. Okay, so what we want to do, we're not going to need this right here on this page. I want to take this away and I want to cut I think what we need just basically to include something of this nature. So I want to copy this and go back to that page, and then I want to include that right here. And maybe I should just let me open new PHP tags in here and close that down here. We could alternatively have that inside of this place if you want to do that. Okay, that is just that. So I want to change the page title right here. All right, so let's, maybe the title of this page is actually going to be something like, let's say this is going to be play the game now. So it can just basically be anything you want, guys. So I'm going to just leave that right there and just call this I think our project name is actually called a Kino Telelogin. So let's just do Telelogin right here. And that is just that on that particular place. So down here, we do have a way of printing out the user's details, right? Which I think let me just see that page right now. So I want to go to game.php, right? So this is going to be game.php, right? And let's open that up. And you notice that we do have the username, and we'll have the first name, and then we'll have the last name right here, which I think we've actually done this before now. I've actually shown you guys how to do this. However, we don't need all of these things on this particular page. If you want to print out your username or the first name, that's fine. But here is the kicker right here. So I want to take away these things that we'll have on this particular page, especially this particular div. Let me just take this away, and I want to modify this user detail right here. So instead of having something like user details, I just want to have a container right here. And let's move this into that particular container. All right, so we do have that right now. So we just basically have a container div right here, and we can change the information that we have in here. I think okay, I know exactly what I want to do. So I want to take this away, and I want to create a new div here. Let me just do something like, I want to put a comment here and just say connect wallet, and want to create that section right here. And I want to put that in a div. This is going to be div, and you can give it a class of something like this is going to be set to be equal to something like wallet or connect wallet. Let's call that connect dash wallet as the class name in there. We can close that down here. Within this place, you can just do div to close that, and we'll have that a kind of a closed, right? And then between this place right here, we can have something like paragraph text where we can just do, I want to also add something like strong tag right here. So it's going to be strong, and we can just say something like your wallet or your something of that nature. Let's just say your wallet right here. And within that particular place, we want to have a button. So I'm going to just do button right here. And the button is actually going to have a class. And let's just call that btn, so that we don't have to give that an extra styling. So, and we're going to have something like an ID, which I'm going to just basically set that to, this is going to be connect wallet. Maybe we're going to basically use that at a later time. I'm not quite sure that, well, whether we're going to actually use that. So let's do that, make that btn, right? So this is going to be btn right here. And that's just the name of the ID that we have given to that connect wallet btn. And then down here, we're going to like print out a text that we want people to see, which is just basically going to say connect wallet. So we'll do connect wallet, and we can use this opportunity to close the button first of all. And let's type that correctly. This is going to be button. And after closing the button, we can close the p tag. And that is just that on that particular line. So we have this right here in place. So the next div we want to basically create is actually going to be, maybe it's just basically going to be, your balance. Okay. So I want to copy this. If I copy that to my clipboard and then paste that down here, and this particular class, I want to change that. Instead of saying something like connect wallet right here, I want it to say something like game dash start yours, like that. And then within this place right here, we'll have paragraph, and then we'll have, instead of your wallet right here, let's say your current, something like token or tokens. And we're going to just basically use this line to kind of display the tokens right here. And again, before we move on, I think I did not actually close the strong right here that I created earlier for this particular thing that we're having here. So I should have closed that within this particular place. So let's do that right now, and also close with that within this particular one that we're having here. Sorry about this. This is going to be strong. Close that down here, and that is just that. So we do not need something like a button on this line. We're not going to need a button. However, what we are going to need on this page is going to be to be able to print. What I'm going to do, let's add an ID right here, and let's set that to be equal to something like token count. So let's call that token count, and we can close that out right here. And I think this is actually going to be, let's put this within something like a span, guys. So this is going to be span, and that's going to be the span ID. All right, so we do have that as a span ID within that particular place. By default, we can just add something like 50 in there, and we can close the span right here. This is going to be span, and that should just basically be able to do that right there for us. All right, so that is just that. So let's change sort of game status right here. This should be something like game starts. Okay, I think that just a kind of a designate the main thing that line is actually doing for us. And let's also add something like this is going to be tokens right here. Let's say tokens, and that line is just basically going to tell us the person's current balance. Okay, so that's just that on that particular line. All right, so down here, within this place we can just build something like this is going to be, let's call this game area, and to build the game area right here, I want to do a couple of things in here. So let's create a div first of all. This is going to be a div, and we give that a class. And basically the class is actually going to be something like, let's say this is going to be start game or start game, whatever you want to call that. But it's because I want to add something like a start right there. That's why I'm just saying, calling that something like a start game right there. Okay, so we can terminate this. Try to close this out down there. So this is going to be div and have that close. So within this particular game area, I want to first of all create a paragraph that I'm going to just say something like tap. We're going to just say tap on the star to earn maybe some token, or just to earn tokens. Okay, and that is just that. We can go ahead and then try to close this right here. This is going to be p tag, and maybe we should just put something like an exclamation in here. And that is just that about the message. But down here, I want to create another div, which is just going to be, I want to be able to have something like a circle around the image. All right. So this is going to be div class, and this is going to actually be called a circle. And after that, we want to have an ID. So set that to be equal to, this is going to be star. Let's call that star. And down here, within this particular thing in here, first of all, let's close out this div. This is going to be div to close out the div we just opened earlier. But then within this particular place right here, we can do a few things. First of all, we want to be able to bring something like the star within the interface, okay? Because the way that it is right here, if I save the changes right here, and I will try to refresh this page, and this is just what we have so far, but we do not actually have something like a star within this particular page yet. And to do that right now, within this place right here, we can create a div that is actually going to bring out a star for us, and let's put that in the div. So this is going to be class, and just set that to be equal to something like star again right here, and let's try to close out that. And within this particular place, we're going to enter some HTML entities that's actually going to generate something like a star for us. And to do that, we're going to just do that right now. This is going to be ampersand, and you can just do hash, and you can just do 9733 like that, and you can terminate this line, and that particular thing in here can kind of generate something like a star for us. Okay, so we'll have that right there, and you can go ahead and then close the div right here. So this is going to be div. All right, so that line we should be able to generate the div for the star for us. So let's check whether that was correct or not, and you see that we do have something like a star within this place. You see that? That is that, guys, and I hope that you guys are kind of following. And after that, we we want to get out of this particular div in here. All right, so once we get out of this particular div, we want to go ahead and then see how is it that we can actually, first of all, we want to close. Okay, this is actually closed down here, right? I think within this place, let's do something right here. I'm going to just like find a way to print out whatever amount of a token anybody has earned within the session that they got into that particular game. Okay, so to do that, let's put a div right here, and we're going to have a class. Let's set the class name to something like this is going to be tokens. So this is going to be tokens, and we can go ahead and then we can just say you have earned, and within here we can have a span. So this is going to be span, and we can have an ID of the span to be set to, this is going to actually be called maybe you earned we're going to just call this end tokens, and just like that. So we can go ahead and terminate this. So by default we can have 0 right here at this particular point, but as the person tries to continue playing the game, he can earn some other stuff. Okay, so we can just close the span in here, and we can go ahead and just do something like token or tokens from this. Can do something like session, and that is just that. So we can go ahead and then terminate the div. So this is going to be div right like that, and we'll add a couple of styles to this so that it can actually look a little bit more beautiful. So if we refresh this page, so far this is what we have on this particular page, right? So let's add a couple of styles. Actually, before we go ahead and add that style right here, I think we're going to need something like a navigation menu that is just basically going to be meant for this particular section of the web page where they're actually playing the game. And to do that, what I want us to do right now is really very simple. Let's go to the navigation that I think we already had a navigation in here, and I want to just basically copy this nav right here. All right, so, and I want to create a new file which is going to be found inside of the includes folder right here. All right, so if we hit in here, and I want to go ahead and call this something like game nav, and let's make sure to type that correctly, game dash nav, and that's going to be .php. I want to open that up and then go ahead and paste that within this particular place. So if I have done that right now, I just basically need a few things in here. We can set this to go to the index if we want to, but we don't have to do this, guys. So you don't have to do this. But I'm just going to add that right now, and let's change this to something like my profile. This is going to be my profile, and after that we can maybe bring something like the letter, but in fact I'm going to take this away. All right, so we can add some other things at a later time if we need to do that. But let me just take all of these things away, and it just simply means that we have only 3 things in here. So I have that changes saved, and I need to go to this particular place and go ahead and then try to include that particular game-nav within this particular place. Okay, so to do that, we can do that maybe down here, and let's do PHP. This is going to be include. Let's do include once, and we want to go into the folder that we just called includes / and this is going to be game-nav, and we're going to just do .php. So that's just basically the file we want to bring in. So let's terminate this and close this out right here. And if we refresh this page, we should be able to see the navigation coming just fine down here. Look at it. All right, so we have that. So let's go ahead and then start the rest of the things that we have on this particular page. So to do that, we can go back to our right here, and we can open up our styles. So maybe just immediately after the nav right here, we can go ahead and enter those styles that we want to enter right here. So the first one I want to work on right now is going to be the game start. So I'm going to just do game start. And you remember when we kind of created this game starts, if we go to our games right here, you see that we do have within this page, I think if we scroll up, we should see something like game star. Let's call that starts, okay, plural. I want to save the changes, and if we go back right here, and I want to go ahead and then throw in just a couple styles for this, and we're just basically going to be the margin. So this is going to be margin tab, and we want to set that to be something like 20 pixels, guys. So let's set that 20 pixels, and that is just that on that. So the next one I want to throw some styles on is going to be the dot star. So we're going to have something like star-game, which again, I think that we also have that. So if we check our game.php, you see that we have star game right here. All right, so we have star game, and what I want to do is just set a margin top for that. So this is going to be margin dash tab, and we can go ahead and set that to something like 30 pixels. And without wasting much time, I think I want to just basically go ahead and copy the rest of the style for the game and then paste it right here. Then I will actually show you guys that as I copy and paste that. All right, so I have that copied into the clipboard, and I want to make enough space in here so that we can actually detect what I just copied and pasted. So to do that, I want to paste that in here first of all. If I paste this, and you notice that the styling a kind of a stopped right here, but then it began from this particular place in here. Okay, so it began from here, which is actually our circle that we're basically going to create. Okay, so this is the style that's going to make us have a circle around that particular style that we have just created. And then down here, we are working on the circle. If the circle is actually active, someone is actually hitting on it, we can change the background to something like yellow, and then box shadow to none. And down here, we're setting a hover effect for that. So the focus is actually down here. And after that, we're working on the star. I think we also have a star in here. So if we go back to the game, you see that there's a place where we have the star right here. That's just basically the star class in here. And we're just kind of styling the star right here. So we're going to just set it to take a font width of 100 pixels to make that larger. And we're just going to basically set our cursor to pointer right here. And we'll have the color set to something like gold. And we'll have something like user select, which is just going to prevent the star from being selected if someone is actually hitting on that. Okay. So we don't want to have that around the shadow around it. Okay. So after that, we'll have a hover effect set to white, and we'll have our tokens also styled right here. Okay, so which if you take a look at the game, you should also be able to find the place where we talked about the tokens right here. So that's just the style for the token. So let's save the changes right here. And if we go back to our browser and I want to refresh right here, and you see this is how it's actually looking so far, guys. So look at it. So if you hover on it, this is how it looks. And we want to be able to make this in such a way that once someone is clicking on any area within this particular page, it's going to just basically be generating some tokens. So this is just like a clicker type of a game. And I know that there are some games that do have something like an image in here. If you want to put an image, that's just fine. You can just change, instead of using star, you can use an image. Okay, so as you tap on the image, it can actually generate some tokens for you. But I just want to make my own to look a little bit different. I don't want it to look like every other person's own, right? So that is just how that is actually looking so far. And all right, guys, so this is how it is actually looking so far. So we can basically bring this a little bit back up, and we should also like bring this back up a little bit. And this is just the CSS in full, guys. So you can take a look at that. So the CSS is just like this, and you can basically style it anyhow you want it, any way you want it. You don't have to follow my own styling. So that's just how that is actually looking. So I just wanted to like show you guys that we can actually build all of those things from scratch. So if you save the changes and then refresh, it should just basically be looking just fine. So this is how it is right now, right? So I want to like fade this color, this part of the page a little bit. I want to fade this part. So to do that is really simple. So to fade that should actually be found in the body, and I want to change the last value that we have in here. So if I change this to this right now, let's see how that is actually going to look so far. So if I refresh here, just take a look at this side and see whether that gradient is actually going to fade more, and it fades a little bit more, right? So that is just not really fade, but I think it became more pronounced anyway. It became more pronounced because I actually kind of set the value to be 100%. And this is just how it is actually looking so far, guys. So this particular what is it called, the menus that we have down here, this is actually going to stay no matter how we resize the web page. So if we move this, you see that it stays right there. Every time we resize and move that button, it's actually going to basically stay. All right, so that is just how it is looking so far. Now I just want us to do just a little thing, and that is just going to basically be like if I begin to hit on this right here, I want to see the counter kind of go up, and we want to do that with something like JavaScript. And to do that, we need to go back to the game interface, which is right here, which is game.php. So let's do that right here just before the closing body, and I want to enter some script right here. This is going to be my script tag, and I want to go ahead and then close the script tag right here. So this is going to be scripts. And then within this place, we can write a couple lines of JavaScript right here. I'm going to just set a variable. I'm going to just select total token, or tokens be set to something like 50. So we do have 50 tokens by default, right? And I just, let's call that initial tokens. All right. So on the next line, I want to create another variable, and let's say this is going to be session tokens, and I want to go ahead and set that to be equal to 0. All right. So we have that right there. So down here we have the variables we need, but I want us to like simulate the tap on the star. So as people are trying to tap on the star or the circle, I want to simulate something like a counter right there. I want that to like be adding some values to the total tokens and even the session tokens. And to do that, let me just put a comment in here and just say simulate. All right, so that is it. Simulate tap on the star and end tokens. So to do that, I'm going to just do document. So let's do document dot. This is going to be get element, and let's say this is going to be by ID, and let's make sure we type this correctly. This is supposed to be get element by ID, and what's the ID that we want to basically get? If we take a look at our game right here, you see that we're going to just basically get this ID right here called a star. So I'm going to copy this and make sure that that's just basically what I'm going to use right here. So I want to have this, and remember that that is actually embedded on this circle div right here. So it means that every time you tap on the circle, you are also at the same time tapping on the star, right? So every time you tap on the circle, you should be able to like implement what you want to do. Okay, so just write about anywhere within the circle right there. So we do have this right here, right? And this is just going to be in quote, guys. So I want to put this in quote, and we can go ahead and add something like event listener right here. And to do that, we can just do dot add event listener, and that's just basically going to happen on a click. So if we make a click in here, we'll go ahead and add that particular thing in there. All right, so we'll separate that with a comma, and I'm going to just run a function in here. So this is going to be function. So within this function right here, let's go ahead and then I want to terminate this particular line in case I may forget it in the future. So let's do this right now. The first thing I want to do is to get the session tokens and increment it. And to do that, we're going to just say session token. In fact, I want to copy that from there. So let's copy this session token right here, paste it right here. And what we basically want to do with this is just go ahead and then increment that. Maybe if you want that to be increasing by something like 5, you can just go ahead and use something like, let's say this is going to be plus or equal to 5 or something like that. So, okay, so let's say that we're going to just increment that by 5. So we're going to just do plus equal to, and we can go ahead and enter 5 right here. All right, so that's just that on that particular line. That's just going to be adding 5 tokens per tap. Every time you tap on it, like if I go back in here, if I hit on this, you see that it's going to be adding something like 5 tokens to me every time you make a tap. So you should feel free to add whatever. If it is 10 that you want that to be adding as people are tapping on that, just go ahead and enter 10 right here. So that's just that on that line. So the next thing I want to do is the tokens, the total tokens, right? So I want to copy this total token in here, and I get down on the next line and paste that. And we want to also use at the same time we want to update this particular token right here. All right, so whatever that we're having here, we want to go ahead and enter or add that particular 5 token that we're getting here to whatever that we're originally having here. Remember that everybody has 5 tokens initially, right? So we want to go ahead and update that by adding a plus. I'm going to just do plus equal to, and this time around is actually going to be 5 right here. So remember, we're just basically kind of a simulate, right? So down here, we're going to just do document dot get element by ID. And what's the ID that we basically want to target this time around? That's actually going to be the end tokens. All right. So we do have the tokens right there. And what we'll basically do with this line is just we want to print out, we want to like, as people are tapping on it, we want to go ahead and then begin to put that in that particular section right here. I want to show you that. I want to be able to increment this in here and also be able to increment this one. You're going to be seeing as people are tapping on this, the values that they're actually gaining by tap is actually going to be showing up here and here. So that's just what I want to do with that line. So to do that, we're going to just do add inner text. So this one is actually going to be uppercase letter. So we'll do inner text, and we're going to just set that to be equal to the session token right here. So I want to copy this and I set that to inner, what is it called, session token right here. And I want to terminate that line. I want to copy this because I'm going to do something similar to that one down there. And to do it is also going to be, instead of we making use of ended tokens right here, we're going to be using token count. So this is going to be token, change that to token count. And I believe we also have that ID, right? So if we check, if we double click on this and you scroll to the top right here, you're going to see where we have token count right here. Okay, so that's just that on that particular line. And instead of setting this to something like this, what we want to do is just basically set that to total tokens, right? So let's change this to total tokens, which is the same variable that we have above here. All right, so let's save the changes right here, and I want to test that out right here. So if we refresh this page and I'll begin to hit on this, and you see that something is actually happening, guys. You see what is happening? If you take a look in here, see that it's just getting increased, and this one is also getting increased, right? So anytime you tap anywhere around this particular thing right here, you see that it's a kind of increasing. So that is just that, guys. So that's just basically how you can actually simulate that. And maybe in the later videos, we can actually look for a way to actually save this, because the way that it is right now, if you refresh, those things are actually going to go away. You see? So I've just refreshed and everything has gone away. But if you keep hitting on it again, you notice that this is actually going to keep on incrementing. All right, so we'll take care of that at a later time, and that is just what it is right now. So now the next thing I want to do now is that, remember that we're actually offline right now, and we want to find a way to actually do this with our phone if it's actually going to work just the way it is actually working offline right now. Okay, even though it's basically utilizing a user right here, and they want to be sure that this is also going to be able to utilize a user within that of our Telegram. Okay, so for now I just want to let me make sure that I kind of print out a user right here. So if we go to maybe down here, just underneath this, we can go ahead and just do something like p tag right here, and we can just do something like username away. Okay, so I just want to do username in here, and I want to use PHP to print out who is actually on that particular section. So we can do that by printing out this session right here. So I want to copy this particular session in here, and then make sure that I kind of put it right here. So this is going to be I'm going to paste that. Let's add an echo right here, and we can terminate this, and also terminate our PHP tag right there, and also close our p tag. And if we refresh in here, we should be able to see the username, the person that is actually logged in right here. If you want to use their first name, last name, you can also do that. Okay, so that's just that. So let me just say kind of I want to comment that out because I think I do not actually need that. Or should we leave it? Let's leave that for now. Okay, let's leave that. But however, the next thing we want to do right now is that if we go to, I want to open up our boot right here. Remember that we have changed the way that the game is actually working. So on this particular page, we are no longer redirecting people to this particular page as they get into the Telegram game. Okay, so if they get into our bot, we're no longer redirecting people to here, and we are redirecting people to this particular place called a game.php. For that reason, we need to change something in our bot. So if we go and right here where we are kind of redirecting people right here, so instead of going to the index of this page, where it should be going right now is actually going to be game.php. All right, so that's just the updates we basically want to make, and let's save the changes right here. And I would like to re-upload this to the internet, and we can actually test that out with using our Telegram. All right, guys, so I'm logged into my server right now, and what I basically want to do, so I want to go to the file manager, and we want to open up the public HTML, and we want to go to Keynote login. I want to update a few of the things that we have on this page. So at first I want to create the CSS. First of all, let me create the CSS folder right here, and let's open that up. That has been created. And another thing I want to create right now is going to be the inclusive folder. So there's an inclusive folder that we have just created within our development environment. I want to also have that right here. And the next thing I want to do, let's first of all try to re-upload a few of the games that we have in here. To do that, if we go to upload and hit in here, and I want to go to this is going to be, so let's go to the section where we saved our games. Open that up, and we want to open our htdocs, and this is actually called a Keynote login, and let's upload this one right now, which is right there, the boat.php, and let's also re-upload the database. No, I'm not going to re-upload the database. It's not needed right here. Let's re-upload the index, the game.php. And after that, we need to re-upload this particular one right here, which is actually the index. And I think I should have even shown you this how the former one that is actually there actually looks like before uploading all of these things. However, let me try to do that right here. So I want to show you how that actually kind of looks like. Even though I've actually done this upload, I think it's not going to give me what I really want. But for instance, the style is actually not going to be in place. We're not going to basically see a nice style for now, but let me just open that up to show you guys. All right, guys, so I do have my phone mirrored right here. So I want to show you that right now. So if we go to the search right here, and it's actually the first one that we have in here. So all right, so that is actually open. So we want to go ahead and tap on where it says open web app right here, and this is what it looks like at this particular point in time. I would have actually shown you the other part before now, but I think if you're actually a paid student, you should have access to all of these things. So, okay, you must have seen how it looked before now, before getting into this particular page. Okay, so however, that's just basically what this is right now. What I want to do right now is really very simple. I want to first of all be able to let me re-upload the CSS first of all. So if we go back in here, and I want to open the CSS up, and let's hit on upload, and we'll select the file right here. I'm going to select this. All right, so that has been uploaded. And then the next thing I want to do, if I go back here, I want to go back one more level, and I want to open up this, and I basically want to upload the things that we need to upload to this directory. So if I hit on upload, and get in here, and let's go back in here and open up the index. And I want to upload this one first of all, and the next one I want to also upload is going to be the header. And then we do have those things in there. So if we go back to our mirrored phone in here, I want to try to kind of refresh this. All right, so I want to reload this page, and you see that it looks really beautiful the way that it is right now, right? However, this is not actually the interface that I want it to like take me to, because I believe that this should have like taken us to a section where we can actually start mining the Telegram game. Okay, but let me hit on where it says open game right here. Let me see what is going to happen. All right, guys, so I just cleared the cache and I want to test this again. So as people are getting into the mini game, they are going to actually be greeted with this interface, and then once they hit on start, it's going to bring up this and say open web app, and you can change this to another thing if you want to. So I want to hit on open web app, and congratulations, guys. So it's a kind of a redirected us to the page where we just want to start mining the airdrop right there. All right, so that's just that. So if we keep tapping on this, you see that it's a kind of increases. Okay, you see that that is actually working for us. So that is just how that is actually done, guys. And if you look down here, you're going to see that we do have our menus down here, right? So we have our menus down here. So we can actually implement whatever you want to implement onto the menus that we have down here. But it's just how the game actually works, guys. So you can tap on that and it will be earning some stuff for you. So that's just how that is, guys. So we have that incrementing, and that's just basically how it is, guys. So thank you for watching. If you understand this, and congratulations. And for those of you who would like to purchase my premium course on how to build the Telegram mini games, you should feel free to contact me using my email and my phone number, and they should be in the description box, guys. So if you want to join and learn how you can also sign users up, you use their data on Telegram and then sign them up, put them in the database, and then you begin to maybe do whatever business you want to do within that of the Telegram. So that particular course is actually available, even though it's actually still ongoing. I've not actually completed that, but if you want to join that at this stage, you can actually join and then learn as we learn together. So we all can actually stay on that page and then learn together. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. I think I will see you guys in the next one. So that is it.